Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Michelle.
Thanks for joining me. We've talked a little bit about strengths in the past, more so strengths with individuals and the difference it can make in people's lives. But I think where is really exciting is what it can do for a team, what it can do for the management of the team, dynamics on the team, and performance of the team. So thought we could have a little chat about it today.
Sure. I think when you think about how on sports teams all over the world, how when you are creating a sports team, when you're bringing people together, nothing's left to chance. You're really clear about each role on the team, but also what is required in terms of individual strengths. What is that person bringing to that role? And if we were just to be quite casual about bringing people onto a team and, they're good and not actually carefully considering what's the sum of all these strengths on the team, your team would have very little chance of succeeding. And what we find in our work is when we apply this same philosophy to organizational teams, and when we think about being intentional about gaining that understanding of what are each person's strengths on my team, what are the powerful partnerships, what two people do we put together when we want to be sure we're going to get that goal, what are the possible concerns, where are there possible gaps, where are the deep strengths. And when we apply that same philosophy, that sporting philosophy, that into an organizational team, we know it makes a huge difference.
And we've talked a little bit in the past about, so for an individual, really focusing and harnessing particular strengths is very valuable. So rather than focusing on your weakness and expending all your energy on that, actually you look at where you're really strong and you build on that. Now, the thing about people is it's really good to be spiky. It's really good to specialize, to have particular skills that you really hone, or strengths that you really hone, not skills necessarily, but strengths that you really hone and work on and develop and really aware of. Now, with teams, it's quite different. With teams, you've got different people, different dynamics, and understanding where those strengths are really enables you to have a well-rounded team. So you kind of want spiky people and well-rounded teams. And what I love about this as well is and we've come across it where you have some managers who are a little bit more skeptical about the strengths process, and no, we need to be giving constructive feedback. What's the constructive feedback that I'm going to give to this employee? The great thing about strengths is that it gives a team something to talk about. It gives a team a tool, for the manager to manage, to start looking at those strengths, identifying, where people are strong, where they're less strong, where those partnerships can build, who else needs to come into the team, and also just a tool for conversation around which to frame. And it's so much easier getting feedback when it's got this kind of focus on your strengths. It's much easier to take, even if it's more constructive. And the other thing that I really like is that it gives a team a way to talk to each other about real things, a way to be vulnerable, a way to say, I work at my best, when this is happening, because this is working in my strengths. I'm actually at my worst when this happens, and that deep understanding within a team can be absolutely life-changing, because when you've got somebody on your team who you don't even like, sometimes understanding their strengths, you start to see their perspective and where they come from and why perhaps you rub each other up the wrong way. And even in conflict and managing of conflict, that understanding of strengths can really, bring a lot to the team, ease the tension. People understand why they're coming at things from different directions and see the benefits as well of when they work together.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. And what we find in applying the Gallup, the Clifton Strengths methodology, is that it brings a common language.
Yeah.
It's not people coming in and having their definition of where they're strong and their language, that what we give teams a common language. So they will not alone develop a deep understanding of their own strengths, but they will have a deep understanding of their colleagues' strengths, and they'll have that as I say, that common language. And that's really a critical element of applying strengths, that common language.
So one of the things that we do, and I think it's just one of the most powerful things that you can do with a team, is start examining, even without doing any particular, strengths focused activities. One is just starting to open up a conversation of where are we actually at our best? What are the conditions that are really right for us to work? It's almost a boundaries piece. When are we at our best? When do we bring the most to the team? When are we at our worst? When is it really difficult for us? What do we really struggle with? Even sharing that with a team can be so powerful. Again, it always opens up that bit of understanding if there's a bit of conflict or if there's a bit of tension, seeing where other people are coming from and seeing why they're at their worst, because maybe they just really struggle with the detail, or maybe they really struggle in, large crowds. Maybe they really struggle with influencing people. Whatever it is, understanding that will be really helpful. And then also when they're at their best, right? So finding those great matches. So without doing anything else, if you're to, as a team or as a manager, to do an exercise like that, to start that conversation and use it as a tool for your teammates to actually come together, to get closer, to get to know each other more, can be a really powerful thing.
And we use this exercise ourselves.
Absolutely.
And we see the value of this. And when we introduce it to teams, they also see how valuable it is. But it still amazes me that you have teams that come together and work together for years, and they have never taken this couple of hours to get clarity on some of the most basic things. This is what I need to be at my best. This Absolutely. Is what I can guarantee you. This is what you will get from me. And those couple of hours that a team will spend in a workshop exploring those issues, and what your colleagues are giving you with their openness, with sharing this information, is an actual gift to the whole team, because it's what you're doing is you are literally getting clarity on what are the conditions this group of people need to be a high performance team.
Totally. And you know what, just something you said there just really sparked something with me, because I have an issue with strengths, right? Like sometimes it can be seen as like, oh, well, you're only looking at the good side, and, it's all very lovey-dovey, and like, oh, we have this. No, because actually incredibly high performing teams are teams that can have really straight conversations with each other, who can actually work through the tension, who can have really difficult, honest conversations. And where that comes from is actually true understanding of what we can say, when we can say it, how we can say it, where your strengths are, where you're comfortable, where you're at your weakest, where we can help each other out. And we don't have to do all the fluffy stuff. We don't have to dance around in circles. We can actually say, look, this is not one of your strongest areas. I can actually really help you out here, or whatever it is. But it's an amazing tool for high performing teams. This is not pink fluffy type thing. This is for high performing excellent teams. They have a deep understanding of strengths, and whether they did it by accident and just were lucky along the way, or whether they intentionally do it, it is an incredibly powerful tool for teams.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Margaret. Thanks for joining me, and great chat.